Yeah, thank you.
All right, you ready for me to start? Okay. So good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for taking the part of your Saturday morning to do this. Appreciate it very much. So I work at IGU, iGlobal University. I teach master's courses, 2 of them. I teach the CS 540, Security Assessment and Testing, and I also teach the ITSM 603, Networking and Information Security. I'm also an advisor on the IGU panel that does the curriculum for the master's and the bachelor's courses. And I also teach part-time just once in a while at another college where I either teach the Intro to Cybersecurity course, master's, or cybersecurity infrastructures, or one that I designed, of course, that I really love is Use and Protection of Space Assets. A really fun one. So just let me tell you real quick about my career. I was in college for a year, got bored, and then I went and joined the Air Force. And then when I got in the Air Force, I realized very quickly that without a degree, it was hard to go up, either enlisted or as an officer. It didn't matter. Without a degree, it was hard to keep moving up. So, after that, I then became a contractor after I retired from the Air Force. And then I got to be a civil servant like I am now. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. If there's questions along the way, please let me know. And I have a spot at the end too, also for that. All right. So what I'm going to talk about is how I got here, my current job, who helped me, what are some of my previous jobs that got me here. I'm going to talk specifically about information tech positions and data positions. There's a great job market out for them right now. So, those are really hot, very hot, as a matter of fact. Computer scientist is one, or data scientist, one of the hottest jobs out there. They make a lot of money. They're, because they're in demand, and they're worth their weight in gold too. They can save your company or your agency or anywhere you work a lot of money and make money for you. And then recommendations to succeed, some techniques that may help you, and where do you get that experience? Because that's super important, right? So how did I get here? First, I got to point out, along the way, I had mentors, very good mentors along the way that helped and said, wait a minute, if you're trying to go here, you ought to do this. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I had professors and staff, like the great ones we have on here right now. Those are resources you really need to use because they know a lot. They have a lot of knowledge and can help you. If you're trying to do something, they'll tell you maybe how to do it right or easier. Family, and I'll throw out one example. Family. I didn't get to use my family to go help me get to where I was, but I have helped since then. One of my nephews wanted to get some experience a little bit, and he came to me and said, how can I get some experience? And I said, well, why don't you come to my work for me for a week? And that's not a lot, but it was unpaid. But when we were done, I wrote him up a certificate, signed it, from where I work, and gave it to him. He put that into his resume, and that helped him because they saw, woo, you got some good experience there, even though it was just a little bit, plus other things he had done. He had done internships. All that stuff looks really good. So I printed up that certificate, and that really helped him. And then, you know what? Your classmates in your classes. I can't tell you how many times I've had classmates say, come into the class and go, hey, we're hiring right now. Or we just had an opening or 5 openings. And the other classmates that didn't have a job say, what, really? Well, can I apply? What do you think? And some of them got the jobs and told me about it afterwards. So I was very happy to see that. So, like I said, mentors. I've had great supervisors. So when you get that job, wherever it's at, where you're at now, um, I have a great one now, Dr. Ben Rice. I helped hire him. So it's a funny story. I hired him. Then I went on a detail, which is like, I'm going to leave my current job and go to a different job for only 6 months. And it's great experience for me. When I did that, he took my job to fill in as the deputy. Well, then my boss left. Guess what? He then got to be the acting. And then, even though I'm out on that detail, I turn around and now he's my boss. So you got to watch these things. It happens all the time. But it worked out great for me, worked out great for him. And, it's really been great. And then, along the way, you have a lot of great supervisors, really good leaders, and then you have some bad bosses. And how I got here, I had some bad bosses too. I had one in the military who was really, really bad. He was a really bad supervisor. And it ended up that I got a bunch of statements from a bunch of people, turned it into the commander, and he got fired. So you got to do what's right. He was not being, he was being pretty mean to not just the officers, but the enlisted. When he did that, I said, that's the line. And I got him fired. It worked out. But those bad boss supervisors taught me even more than the good supervisors. That may sound strange, but I learned a lot. It made me think about what I wanted to do, in my job, because I was in charge of I'll go through those jobs in a minute, but I was in charge of one of those jobs. I had a $100 million budget. I had 300 folks around all the centers that were working directly for me in the contract, and it made me go look for another job, and I did. I got a great job, and I'll tell you more about that. What else did that bad supervisor? What did that bad supervisor do? It made me go get a certification that I had. I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay? Anybody?
Yeah, we are hearing you very clearly.
Excellent. It made me go get my professional, my PMP, my project management professional. I had been putting it off for a long time. And when I got that bad supervisor, I went, you know what? I'm going to go get my PMP so that I can then get a better job. And it helped. And it also, I went to look for another job. And then it got me to go on a detail too. So all those things all really helped out, got me to where I'm at now. It's how I got here. It also made me go get other certifications, and I'll talk about that in a second. Also working out and eating better, it made me think really hard and do all those things. And before that, I never taught courses. And then it made me think, you know what, I ought to go do some teaching at night because I worked all day, 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour days. Why not do something at night, teaching? It'd be fun. I'll learn more. The students will learn more. So it was a lot of fun. That helped me a lot, and I got to do that. So as you can see here, I've been at NASA for 11 years. Currently, I'm on a detail for the Advanced Air Mobility National Campaign. They also recently made me the Data Control Officer and the co-lead for cybersecurity in that job. And it's only a 6-month period, but they liked me so much, they kept me another 6 months. And they liked me so much, they got me another 6 months. Just started my third 6-month detail. So when it's done, I'll be there in a year and a half. My bosses back in my normal job that I got to go back to when I'm done, they were okay with me doing this because they're a good supervisor, good boss. Let me go get this experience. And it's been a blast. What is that job? I always tell people it's the flying delivery of goods like Amazon and Pizza Hut, quadcopter deliveries, and it's air taxis. So it's, instead of a car, it's a taxi that can fly up in the air. And that's what I'm working on. And I work with the FAA every day. I work with a bunch of aero companies. And to me, it's the coolest project I could go get. And I love it. And that's why I'm still there. Before that, what I left and what I go back to when I'm done is I was the deputy chief data officer. I was also the deputy chief technology officer. Unofficially, that's what I was doing. And the deputy associate CIO for transformation and data division, where we get to do all the really, what I always tell people is, get to experiment with all the cool new toys that then everybody at NASA gets to use. And there's a whole list of them that I've done over time. Before that, I got lucky and did a kind of a volunteer thing where I was the deputy enterprise architect. That meant I got to help architect how we do information technology, IT, across where I work. Before that was the enterprise application service exec, had a $50 million budget, and I got to do all the applications at NASA. And, all the ones on your phone, all the ones on your desktop, and all the big systems. So I got to help out with a lot of that stuff. And I'd never done that before. And getting that job, I learned a lot. Even went and got a couple of certifications. If I'm doing something, I want to be good at it. I go find out more about it. Before that, I was the end user service exec, and I was also in charge of the help desk at NASA. The end user service exec is the job where I was basically in charge of almost all the computers across 60,000 people, and the email system, and all the printers, all the cell phones, the email system itself, all those were under that job. It was a really big job. I worked 10, 12-hour days. I worked weekends. I even went on vacation to Florida. And while I was on vacation, I had to call in and give a briefing to a big, large audience of all the CIOs, chief information officers, for all the centers, like Johnson Space Center, Kennedy Space Center, headquarters, all of them. There's 12 of them, including JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So I'm on vacation, trying to have fun, but the job made me do that, and I was fine with it. I loved it, loved the job. Those are all the jobs I got, but how did I get there? And I'm gonna talk about that as I'm talking about the other jobs that are available out there. I've been in IT for a very long time, 30 years, and some of the positions that are out there, where are they at? They're commercial. So you might go to a company that's a big company that does work on works for other companies. There's whole industries out there that you can work in, and there's just tons and tons of them that you can do. Some of the jobs might be, and those are the commercial and industry. Basically some of those are contractor jobs too. You could also work for the government, and that's currently what I'm doing. I'm a government service employee. I'm a civil servant. In the news, sometimes they badmouth the civil servant because they're slow, they don't get the job done. I mean, we do, and I'm sure there are some that do that, but those are, that it's something that's needed, and I'm proud that I do that. You could also work for the state, the state of Virginia, the state of California, the state, whatever. There's a lot of state jobs, just like government jobs, they're in the state. And then there's local, as in city. You could work for a city, other place that you might work. And then there's tons of contractor jobs. I work with a bunch of contractors. They're working for the government, and there's a contract because we didn't have the experience or we needed more people. made a contract. And so they're really working for the government. They're not working for some company out there. They're helping us. Supervisor is that company. Sometimes it takes a degree to get into the door, and then sometimes it doesn't. But it definitely, you need a degree to move up. Now, bachelor's is great. You got to start with that. You know, associates, then bachelor's, then master's is what helped me get into the door, because they were only looking for people that had masters. So if you didn't have it, you just had a bachelor's. Sorry, didn't even talk to you. Didn't even make the list. Interview. Some of the other jobs in IT are in healthcare, and we're talking a lot of those jobs are, you know, working at a hospital, taking care of equipment and systems. Imagine there's a lot of systems, big systems. They have, you know, private information on them. II, it's called. They have that kind of information. You have to protect them. You need good people that can do IT, good people that can do security to make sure that they're secure. Now, here's one I never got into, financial. I never got into the financial side. I really wish I had. Doing IT in the financial side really pays a lot more. All the jobs I see in the financial sector always pay 20, 30, 40, 50% more money. So if you're looking to get into some, get into financial, get into health. You know, there's a need there. Right now, I've been doing IT for companies and the government for so long that I don't have those skills in financial. Yeah, sure, I can run systems. Sure, I can run servers, farms, you know, I can do all that, data farms. But they want very specific skills in certain systems that are financial. And like, I don't have that, and most people don't. And when you do get that, then you just make more and more money. So very good one to do. There's always network jobs out there, tons of them. You know, they need people to run the network. Tons of like sub jobs, network analyst. You know, there's a cybersecurity part of that too. Anyways, network jobs, there's a lot of them. I've got a lot of experience in networks. I ran a network for the Pentagon and 80 sites around DC. Did that for a few years and loved it as a contractor. I'd been a contractor. Desk manager. Cybersecurity is another great one. There are always openings in cybersecurity. That's why a lot of the cybersecurity courses at college have a lot of students in them, because they want to get that bachelor's or that master's degree. They want to go get some certifications, and they need the experience, and then they can go get a really good job. And you can be in that field, I believe, ever. They will always need cybersecurity people. So don't ever forget that. Then there's other jobs that are different, hardware, software, you know, loading firewalls or loading some specific, you know, financial software or whatever it is. There's hardware and software. And like a certification that goes with that, it's called the A+. So you got your degree, you got maybe some experience in that, then you might want to go get the certification, A+. Another really good one. Then help desk tech. I was the help desk technician, and then I was manager, and I did that for OSD, the Office of Secretary of Defense, the Joint Staff. I ran the help desk for that. When I retired, I then ran the FBI's Tier 2, Tier 3 help desk in the J. Edgar Hoover building in DC. Had a bunch of sites all the way out to West Virginia and down to Virginia. And that was with Lockheed Martin, company that I was working with. I mean, then I went to another job with Lockheed Martin. There, I ran the Army IT agency, help desk. And then I got to go on detail again. Remember, I was talking about detail? I did a detail over at Homeland Security, and I set up their help desk. I didn't stay there. I just went there, set it up for about 3 months, and then came back to my current job, or the job that I had at the time. And then last, when I started thinking, oh, I wonder if I could get a government job again, I went and applied to where I'm at now. And the first thing they had me do was take their help desk. They had 12 of them, consolidate them all down into one. Now they have one. It was great. Loved it. A lot of fun. Here's the data positions. And this is not the final list of all time. There's probably 20 other jobs related. And, you know, sometimes it takes a degree, or if you're very, very specific, it doesn't. But most times to move up, you got to have that degree. And the higher the degree, usually the easier and better. You know, getting your doctorate, that's what you want to do. Commitment. Admire the people that do that. Data entry, that's kind of a lowly position, but it gets you in the door, it gives you experience. Get in there, then you can move around because you've got experience now. I do highly encourage, if you get a job, don't jump job to job to job, because I saw that a lot, and people would come to me and they'd apply and then they'd get mad, like, why didn't you hire me? I go, looked at your resume and you did a job for 6 months, and you did a job for 3 months, then you did a job for a year, and you did a job for 3 months. I said, I don't want to hire you. I want somebody that's going to come here and stay. So, you know, do move around when you need to. Don't jump around too much, because then it looks bad in your resume. Like, all you care about is getting here, getting a little bit more money, and then you're going to look for the next job to get a little bit more money. And I want to hire you. You might miss out on a really good job. Move when you need to. I always encourage people to do that. Been in a job 2 or 3 years, see what's available. Data entry, data operator, data analyst, that, you know, you're kind of moving up the chain there. Data analysts, they get paid a lot more. And we'll talk about just one of the jobs pay in just a second. Below that, operations analyst, you know, you're looking at the whole operation and you're analyzing how to make it better, make it work better, maybe cheaper. There's a lot of places out there are spending a lot of money when they don't need to. I closed down a server farm a long time ago that we didn't need. It saved that government agency a lot of money, and they were very happy about it. Data engineer, another, you know, there's always engineering jobs almost in any place. You're working with the data to try to make it the system better, and you're going to engineer a new system. Those are the kind of things you do. Cloud storage, wow, that is a great job. There's lots of certifications out there. Cloud storage is a really good one. Anything cloud, you know, cloud business. There's all kinds of jobs in that area, and you're going to be working with Amazon and Microsoft and Apple and all these other. There's a ton of them offering cloud tech services. DBA, database administrators, another really good job. I've done that. It's funny. I still do a little bit of that even in my current job. You know, I look at the spreadsheets and the database, and I move things around. I make sure it's current. I get rid of people that leave. I take them off our spreadsheets and add new people. You help bring people on, and you help people retire. Those kind of jobs. My favorite, data scientist. So it's not, well, it's a good job. It's somebody said in the news it was the sexiest new job that there is out there right now. It pays very, very well. I know it pays a lot of money. And it showed, there's a little chart on here, and I think that they showed, you know, for the United States, you know, it's got a dollar figure down there. But to be honest, a good data scientist with a good experience makes a lot more money. You know, in some cases, double what is showing there. And I hired the first NASA data scientist a while back. He still works for NASA, works up at Goddard Space Flight Center up in Maryland. Great guy, worth his weight in gold because he's so good at what he does. He's got his doctorate, and I let me tell you about the hiring process. I hired him. I had a board. I got some other people to help me. Said, hey, you're good at this. You're good. Why don't you come in and help me hire somebody? Then put out the advertisement. All those applications came in. We had a system that would look through it and pick the best ones, like 20, and I pared it down to about 5. These people were from all over the country, world renowned, some of them, books, lecture tours. They were really, really good. But I needed somebody to come in and do a lot of work, not just want to write a paper or a book about it. I didn't want that. So I got somebody that came in and he hit the ground running. He did a fantastic job. He was amazing. And he still is. He's still doing great work. And then lastly on here is kind of a newer one that's been out only for, they probably had chief data officers for years, but I'll tell you what, when the federal government started saying you need to have, every agency needs to have a CDO, chief data officer, then it just took off, a bunch of them out there. I was the deputy until I went on my detail. Matter of fact, it's funny, I just got offered a CDO job at a major city. And I turned it down. I said, I didn't even go advertise or go apply. They just came and found me and said, you look like you'd be really good for this job. We've seen your experience. We've heard you speak. Would you like to talk to us about it? And it was for more money. I still said no. I like what I'm doing. And so that's it on the data positions. Recommendations to succeed. Number one is what is your desire? What is it you're trying to do? Are you could just care about money. You could care about a career in a certain area. If you do, go find out everything you can about that area. Whatever area it is, medical, financial, pure IT, working for companies, agencies. What do you want to do? That's the most important one. Then go investigate it. You are so lucky that you're able to jump on the internet and go find stuff. Right now, that's unbelievable. Before, you had to go down to a library or go somewhere else and go look, and it was very difficult. You had to know somebody. Now you can find it, and it could be on the other side of the country. And then they'll pay you to move there. I've seen that a lot of times. Research it. What is required? If you go look for that job you think you want to do, chief data scientist or CEO, go look at them right now. Go pull them up. You'll see. Gotta have a master's, gotta have a doctorate, gotta have a bachelor's, whatever it is. Then gotta be experienced in these systems. Well, go find that experience. Go get it. It's not super hard to do. I already talked a little bit about your education. Do what you have to do. I'll give you an example. I wanted to get my engineering degree. And I was working for the Air Force, and I worked during the day. There was no way I could get certain engineering courses that were only offered Tuesdays and Thursdays. You know what I did? I went on 1 year of weekends. For my job in the Air Force, I worked weekends. I volunteered. Hey, can I work weekends and have Tuesdays and Thursdays off for a year? And then I went and got all those courses that were only offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They weren't offered at night. They weren't offered on weekends. That was back then. Now it's a lot easier. But what did I do? I went and worked weekends for a year. I worked night shift for 1 year to take the day courses. And guess what? I got my bachelor's. I got my master's. It all worked out for me. And there's also courses and that you can do wherever you're working. Like when I worked at the FBI, they had an online FBI learning system. I went and took 10 courses on there. When when I wasn't busy right then at work, I would go do those courses. I would do them on a weekend. I might do them at night. I got a bunch of certifications that way, got a lot of experience. And where I work now, there's a system that we use for learning. I go out there and I find R Shiny, R Code, Java. There's all kinds of like little skills that people like to see that you know about. Doesn't mean you're an expert. I got those, and it helps. Oh yeah, I know about that. I took a little course on it. Certifications. I already mentioned my, my project management professional PMP. There's also for like if you're doing cybersecurity, CISSP, Certified Information System Security Professional, Security Plus, Net Plus, E Plus. Those are all really, really good ones. You don't have to have certifications. I know somebody who is the CISO, basically the top security person at a major agency. He doesn't have certifications. None. He got the job because he's really good. So you don't have to have them. They just help a little, or sometimes a lot. Where else can you get some experience and stuff? You can go be with some associations. Excuse me. There are a bunch of them. I put a couple on the chart here. I mean, you don't have to go join that or anything, but there's a bunch of them out there. Find out where you want to go and help. There's meetups. Meetups are free. You don't have to pay anything. You go to a meetup and they're going to talk about data, or they're going to talk about IT, or they're going to talk whatever it is. There's a bunch of them out there. Go get that experience wherever you need it. Get it anywhere. Internships, join groups. Here's another one I do all the time. Where I work, if I hear about a project, really a really interesting, great project, I'll go to those people that are in charge of it and go, hey, can I help? What do you need help with? And I guarantee you almost every time, they're not going to turn down free help for their project. And then guess what? For a couple months of doing it, experience. And remember, when you're going to apply to a job, sometimes it's the experience. Where do you get that experience? Do you have experience? You can graduate tomorrow and have zero experience, and you might be able to get into a data entry or some other position, get into a great job. But when it comes to the hiring manager, they're going to say, well, this one's got a little more experience than this one. Oh, I'm going to go with this one. Guess what? They got the job. I've seen that happen a lot. I've been on a lot of hiring boards, everywhere I've been. Another thing you can do that's kind of funny, look at the news. Did a big IT company just get a big contract? I did that. I was with Lockheed and they got a big contract. I went over to help. And guess what? I was hiring 20 to 50 people a day. Think about that. That's a lot of people. That was just me. There were other people like me that were hiring 20 and 50 people a day. We had to get all these people on staff quickly because we just got the contract. It was amazing. If you had good skills, the right degrees, whatever it was, I would interview you. And I always say, if you could walk and talk, then I'd hire you because I needed you on right then. And we hired a bunch. 75% of the people that applied got the job because we needed you now. Because we weren't going to get paid by the agency until we had the people on board. That was actually a lot of fun too. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here and be with you. It's been my pleasure. I'm always available for advice anytime. And like I'm sure your instructors, professors, and the staff are, please, utilize us. Are there questions for me?
Thank you, Professor. It was a very such nice presentation, and I hope everyone is like it. And it was very informative. Let me ask, like, from my side, I was like listening all the details, but I have like some questions. If you don't mind, I can ask you.
Yes, please.
Okay, so like as you mentioned, like you have to be like do a lots of research. You have to do lots of struggling to get your achievement of the career. So how it's like when you coordinate with your supervisor or manager? So it's make you difficult in the like FBI or in other fields to coordinate with them and to learn from them. What you say about that?
So that's a very good point, and I think I've done very well with that,
Mm-hmm.
working with those supervisors, and then I've done not so well with some, and I learned. Um, you know, they're super busy, so you don't want to waste their time. So you want to, what I do to make it easier is I will look ahead on the week on their schedule, their calendar, and then I'll go find a half an hour. I will also maybe try to schedule and ask them if they'd like to do lunch together, because they got to eat, right? And hopefully they can then tell me some things that they did in their career, or they can tell me, hey, I just heard about this program. You'd be really good for it. And then they put me in for it. Or I hear about one and I go ask them about it. So that conversation with your supervisor, with anybody in HR, human resources, is very important. And having that relationship. I mentioned having mentors. I'm a mentor. I got an award for being the mentor of the whole agency for the year. They do that. One person gets that out of 20,000 people, and I got it because I like to mentor. But I've also had good mentors that have helped me. You go tell them, hey, what do you think about this? And they'll say, whether that mentor is a supervisor or usually it's not your supervisor, it's somebody else. Like go find somebody outside of your chain with your supervisor and ask them to help you. Like when I was at the FBI, the mentor was not in the FBI. And I was only at the FBI for about a year and a half. And then I moved on to a better job. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that was awesome. So like so at the last, like that we suggest to the students, like they have to be like on proper planning what they need to do in their career. They need to schedule what they want to achieve in the
Yes.
future. Yeah, and they always have to be like coordinate with their supervisor, manager to learn more about
Yes.
what experience they have it.
Yes. You can make your supervisor mad if you go
Uh-huh.
volunteer to help out some other project that's going to take 5 hours a week. And your supervisor might go, wait a minute, you have a job here, get it done. Don't go to another job. So if you're getting your job done very well, then you could go approach your supervisor and ask. So, you don't go to the other person and volunteer and then find out from your supervisor, no, I don't want you to do that. And I've had that. I've had supervisors say no. And I had supervisors not give me good advice. That's why a mentor, somebody else, friends at the company or the agency that you can find out good information from. Because not everybody out there is a smart person on that. So always good to share information and get information.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. That's what like I like everyone, especially all the professors and yourself. Like they always keep on sending emails to the students. Like, if you have any questions on your any assignments or anything, please email us. So the basically like keep on asking what questions do you have.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And continually learn. Things change. Something from
Exactly.
20, 30 years ago might not be current. That might not be the way to do it. I always like, what is the job you're looking for? Then go look it up and find all the things that are looked for in it. You may say 5 years experience, or 10, and oh, I don't have that yet. So what can I do in the meantime? Set some goals. Got to get this kind of a job to get the experience, like a data entry job, to then have the data experience to be able to go get that other job. It's that way in a lot of jobs. You got to work your way up.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. I think we have like Mr. Abu Hanif on the meeting. We have Dr. Cho and Jose. And the students, like, if they have any questions or concerns, like, they can ask.
Yes, all the people you mentioned have helped me a lot.
Yeah.
They're great. They're awesome.
Professor, I have one question. My name is Shane Cho, and I'm taking care of our operation, Global University operation. Actually, we are preparing to open the Master of Science and Data Science and Artificial Intelligence now. While I'm reviewing that, some people is emphasizing that skills related to data visualization and communication is a key point, one of key skills of data science. Can you describe about that something more?
Yes. Data visualization. An example of a tool that does that is Tableau. It's just one. There's a ton of them. They're all good. But Tableau is a good one. I helped set up Tableau at NASA. We started off at our headquarters. We set up a Tableau server, and we learned. We had people go get experience on it. We'd hire somebody with some experience another way, and then they came in. We set it up. Worked very well at headquarters, and then we expanded it out to the other centers for people that wanted to use it for data visualization. So, I don't know if you're as a student can go find Tableau, free download where you're able to experience with it, but any way you can do that is really good. There's probably tutorials online that are free. You can learn more about it. But that's just one example of one tool. But you need to know, as in, the program you're starting, a bunch of the tools and a bunch of the the skills that are required to do it. So that's a fantastic program that could really, you get into that and you're good at it. There's tons of jobs in it from what I've seen.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Professor. This is Deepthi. I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I was like, before I asked that question, I'm really fascinated seeing you work with NASA. That was really a great thing. I totally appreciate you that. So typically, I really like exploring the space and all those things. That is one kind of fascination. But I'm seeing the cool logo on your T-shirt. Was really cool. So besides that, so the thing which you are saying, applying for government jobs and all those things, typically, like, how can we apply? Is it like going to their websites, or is there any way that is there any platform or any sort of website that offers, okay, these are the place where you can apply these jobs? Because as a student, the next phase will be the career enhancement. So we will be looking for the portals where the typical dice and monster, all those things are we regularly see. But the government jobs or something, maybe they will be having certain stages, like federal and state. They will be having only certain stages where in which they expose those opportunities to the people. So we being a entry level people, will we have the scope to get into those positions, or how much can we do internships or something like, or with 2 to 3 years of experience? What exactly, can you explain briefly about those things?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So number one, there's a lot of jobs that are advertised for the government in usajobs.gov. usajobs.gov. And You got to go fill out a resume in there. You got, you know, put your education experience, things like that. They have entry-level jobs in there. They have mid-level, and they have the really high-tier ones, you know, like the CIO of a agency and a deputy CIO, things like that. I'm just talking IT. These jobs are everywhere. HR jobs, human resource, they're medical. It's everything. And when you go in there, it's really big and there's tons of jobs. So you need to be very specific when you do the search. You know, I want a IT job in this state or this region or this agency. You can see all the jobs in that agency. You pick one. But that's one way. And that's how I got the job I'm in now, is I went to usajobs.gov and I filled it out and I got the job. The other way that a lot of people do is they'll go work for a company that works for that agency, and they'll go get that experience working for that company, because the company will send you to training and then all that. They'll even pay for your bachelor's degree or your master's or even your doctorate. Some of them, the companies, they'll help sometimes. Some are really good and they do that. Then you get the experience there working for that agency. Then when a job comes open on USA Jobs, you apply, and guess what? You're like the most qualified. You know, it's a very tricky system. If they want you to have Java experience and your resume doesn't have Java on it at all, then you might not even get picked for be able to do an interview. So you need to be very careful with what you have on there. You never want to lie and say, oh, I've got Java experience. And you don't, because then you get to the interview, they'll go, wait a minute, you don't know anything about that. That's just an example. I'm not saying go get Java experience. These jobs are all different. They're all over the place. Mine was, they needed somebody for help desk. I had already run 5 help desks. So I came into NASA and I set up their help desk. That was my job. Anyway, and they moved me to another job and another job, you know, and I had the budgets kept getting bigger and bigger and more people. And then that got me to where I'm at now with just an amazing, fun job. So those are 2 ways.
Yeah, Professor. So that was really cool. So I was concerned, like, we are like most of the jobs nowadays I'm seeing, they are confined to, green card or US citizens. Do you think the CPT, OPT people does have scope of getting jobs in government and, state and private sectors, like federal and state jobs? Is there any scope for them?
Is there any school?
Yeah.
I don't know of a school that you can then get the government job. I mean, there's not a direct correlation like that. But any school, I can use a great one, your degree that opens a door, because it might say you have to have a master's. And if you don't have it, you're not going to get in to even be able to get interviewed. And they may interview 10 people. You know, what do you have? What are you bringing that helps you get noticed to get the interview? And then when the interview, you got to do really well in the interview too. And there's all kinds of places out there that help you with interviews and stuff like that. You can do it with friends, colleagues, your professors, and the staff. All of them have been in interviews and to get that experience. But I don't know if like, you know, to go get this college degree or this college experience or that gets you into a government job. I don't know of one that's like direct.
Yeah, understood. Thanks a lot, Professor, for taking time to explain this.
Yep.
Can I add something for that? Some of our students is worrying about their status because most of them are international. But actually, I got the verification request from Department of Defense last year twice, for our OPT students. So it means that entry-level job is open to OPT students too. So don't worry about that. If you can find any chances, keep research that. I know the most of jobs require the citizenship because of the security requirement, but some entry jobs and entry jobs related to the agencies working for government, they sometimes open that job opportunities to international students too.
Thank you, Dr. Cho. That is so true. And you know, for IGU to go do that is amazing. It's a really good thing to help the students. So I'm so happy that you guys did that. I remember seeing an email on that. Other questions? Well, I've enjoyed this. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm always available. And I know that the professors and the staff here are available too. And they're really good. Top-notch people. That's why I enjoy working here as one of the professors.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time.